Hi everyone and welcome to Priority Holder. Today we'll be playing Blue-Black Vecna in the Explorer format. Now, why are we playing Vecna? Well, I, like many of you, been watching Stranger Things and it just got me thinking, if Stranger Things can have Vecna, then we should do it in Magic also. It's just such a cool character and I thought it'd be fun. It's also a big challenge in Magic. So the way it works is that there's 3 artifacts you need to assemble in order to summon Vecna. This one explains it with the activated ability, but this component costs triple black, legendary artifact. Beginning of our end step, if we lost 2 or more life, we get a 2/2 black zombie. And we can tap, exile both the book, also Eye of Vecna and Hand of Vecna to create Vecna, who is a 8/8 black zombie god and indestructible, and the triggered abilities of the exiled cards. So it would have this zombie making triggered ability, and Eye of Vecna's triggered ability, and Hand of Vecna's triggered ability. So here's what Vecna looks like on the token. Pretty sweet. And that's what we're going for. So other component, Hand of Vecna, is an equipment that when, beginning of combat our turn, equipped creature gets +X+X, where X number of cards in our hand. You can also pay life as an alternate equip cost. So offensive equipment, and then the other component is Eye of Vecna. 2 mana artifact. Enters battlefield, we draw a card, lose 2 life. And we can also repeatedly, on our upkeep, pay 2 to draw a card, lose 2 life. So Eye of Vecna can cause us to lose 2, which can create a zombie on our end step, or we can use the equip cost to lose some life to make a zombie. Anyway, we want 1 copy of each out in order to create our Vecna. How are we going to do that, though? Well, that's the whole rest of the deck is trying to support. So we have 4 copies of Trophy Mage. When she enters the battlefield, we get to look for an artifact for an amount of cost 3 and put it into our hand. So that allows us to get 2 of the 3 components, the book and the hand, and just have like a chump blocker as well. And since it can tutor for us, we have a couple other things. We also have the Celestus as a way to ramp and gain a little life and get some card selection. And also we have a clock for Stranger Things thematic value. That's basically the only reason. What else do we have going on? Okay, so the other important part is we have 4 copies of Karn the Great Creator. You may be realizing I like this card. So what does Karn do? The most relevant thing is for -2, we get to take an artifact from outside the game and put it into our hand. In this context, that means our sideboard. Because we play best of 1, we only get 7. So this first 7 is what we have. So we have 1 of each component: Eye of Vecna, Hand of Vecna, and Book of Vile Darkness. And our utility pieces are Tormod's Crypt, Ratchet Bomb, Weathered Runestone, and Golos. So because we only get 7 slots, 3 of them taken up by like our combo pieces, we don't have as much utility. You could see my overflow right there. The rest of the deck, we have some Thoughtseizes just to try and disrupt our opponent. Also, the 2 life can trigger Book of Vile Darkness. Tainted Indulgence just to help us sift for, discard spare legendary components to try and find the other ones we're missing. And we also have 3 copies of Crux of Fate as a little bit of control. 3 copies of Golos just to help. We can spin Golos with the help of the World Tree and hopefully find our pieces faster and assemble Vecna. Not only that, but once you've assembled Vecna, you can replay the components out again since they'll be no longer on the battlefield. So it doesn't always hurt to play extras. And then Metalwork Colossus, because we actually have a decent number of non-creature artifacts and it can be a hefty blocker or attacker for not that much mana. But that's the plan. So let's go ahead and check out the games. Will we, successfully summon Vecna and make our opponent's lives miserable? Or will they be running up that hill? See you in the games. Alright, so we got a good hand. As good as we can hope for. All right, Scryland gets us Eye of Vecna to the top, so that's already 2 out of 3 pieces, which is exciting. And then they hit us with the Thoughtseize. All right, and they just take our Thoughtseize. That allows us to just play an untapped land, slam Eye of Vecna, draw our card, and we get another Eye of Vecna. So that's not super useful, but we're excited to be able to go turn 3 Shockland into Book of Vile Darkness, because that'll get us our free zombie. And then right off the top, we draw Hand of Vecna, so we are already so close. So we're going off. We have 2 pieces on the battlefield, free zombie. What could go wrong? All right, so a second gifted Aetherborn, and then another Thoughtseize. So we almost had a glorious turn 4 Vecna, but opponent's going to read through our cards a little bit, but they'll see what's happening and take Hand of Vecna. So they're going to make us work for it for a little, work for it a little bit harder. The opponent's trying to figure out what's going on, and then they take the hand. This is the lifelinker. We opt not to activate Eye of Vecna since we got Karn the Great Creator in hand. So we just play our untapped land and Karn minus to get our spare Hand of Vecna in our sideboard. Because if there's anything we're going to do, we're going to summon Vecna. Okay, so we'll just sit back. Opponent appreciates our little gimmick. Now our life total is getting hammered though. Okay, so Fatal Push takes out our lone zombie, and the 2 gifted Aetherborns take down our Karn. Or they change their mind and come at us instead. Deem Karn not that much of a threat. Alright, so once again decline Eye of Vecna, and yeah, the mana's a little awkward. A land would have been nice there, but that's okay. So we go ahead and play Hand of Vecna plus Karn on nothing. And I make a misplay right here. I was thinking the Book of Vile Darkness got us our zombie on either turn. However, it only works on our turn, so... Oh yeah, so while I'm trying to decide whether to pull something from the sideboard right now with Karn. So I make a mistake and do not create Vecna on our turn. There are some matchups where you maybe would want to wait to the opponent's turn, but against mono black, just do it on your turn because the token's indestructible. So that was a mistake. We missed out on a free zombie. Since Vecna will deal us 2 damage when he enters no matter what. Since he picks up all the triggered abilities of the components. Alright, so they activate Hive, send in both their Aetherborns. Here's where we summon Vecna. First game already, alright. So it takes the Book of Vile Darkness, the hand, and the Eye of Vecna. And then we get him 8/8 indestructible. And draws a card, loses 2 lives. So here's where I realize, oh snap, I don't get the zombie token. So that was pretty bad. We could have had an extra creature in play. Trying to decide what to do. Opt not to activate Vecna's ability. Thankfully draw a land. And so we get to make a pretty nice play here. Where... So I misplay a little bit. I'm still getting used to Vecna. Should have attacked first with the fuller hand because it would have dealt more damage, but we're still learning. Do get to do something cool though, where we get to play a new Book of Vile Darkness and a new Eye of Vecna, and now we effectively have 2 Book of Vile Darkness zombie trigger abilities. So we go all the way down to 6 life, but we get 2 zombies. So turns out even black can deal with indestructible creatures. So thankfully we have a zombie to sacrifice to Trial of Ambition. But that was a close one. We almost lost Vecna after all that work. Alright, so our life total is under assault, so we're going to chump block the Gifted Aetherborn. Getting a little worried. We just don't have a lot of life to play with. We have all these lose life payoffs, but not a lot of ways to gain it back. Okay, so trying to decide what to do here. Realizing that, opponent can't handle that many attacks from Vecna before they get into big trouble. So I've learned to not attack after deploying the whole hand. So now it's the hand part triggers, and then we attack for 12. Opponent's only at 17, so alright, opponent just takes it. And I'm a little worried because they have 2 Gifted Aetherborns and they have Hive of the Eye Tyrant waiting. So we're very close to dying. Like 1 removal spell could take us down. So end up deciding just to run out Golos. Golos, we can get any number of lands. Creature land might be nice. End up deciding to get Inventors Fair for that life gain over time. But yeah, I'm not too concerned with getting the World Tree and then starting to activate Golos, because I know Golos is going to have to chump block this turn in all likelihood, so end up going for the Inventors Fair instead. Okay, so opponent spends their turn bringing back a Gifted Aetherborn. They send in 2 Aetherborns, we block 1. Now the one problem though is by blocking with Golos, that puts us down to 2 artifacts, so Inventors Fair does not gain us life this upkeep. Okay, so I'm thinking hard about paying for either Vecna's or the Eye's card draw trigger just to make more zombies, but we're at such low life, it's a hard decision. So I end up paying for one of them, putting us all the way down to 2 life, but that guarantees us 2 zombies on our end step. So right now Vecna attacks as a 12-12 and they're at 9, so they have to block with their untapped Gifted Aetherborn. So it gains them a little bit of life, but basically from here on out every attack from Vecna is lethal against them, so they'll have to keep that in mind if they can't kill us. So here we get to do something nice. We get to Trophy Mage as a blocker, and we don't really need like Hand of Vecna. So I go ahead and get the Celestus as a source of selection and potential life gain. So we're living on the edge. We have 2 life. Okay, so we get our 2 zombies. So feeling decent right now. Would love to be a little higher life total. And then opponent plays Davriel. And they go ahead and hit us with the good game. However, you notice you'll see me snap off that upkeep stop. I realize that we're not actually dead, because Davriel will trigger when we have 1 or fewer cards and automatically deal us 2 damage off its passive, but we have a trick up our sleeve. So our thing is going to stack and the Davriel goes on top. However, we have Inventors Fair and enough artifacts in play, just barely enough. So we can, on this, on our upkeep, sacrifice Inventors Fair to put something into our hand. I end up grabbing a Metalwork Colossus. That way, when Davriel's trigger resolves, it fizzles because we have more than 1 card. And then we still gain that 1 life off the Inventors Fair. So we are just barely hanging in there, but managed to dodge that bullet right there. That would have killed us. The opponent sees how we wiggled our way out of that one. However, Inventors Fair is down, so it means no more life gain for us. So I'm trying to figure out how to attack. Davriel must die this turn. And so what I decided to do is send Vecna at them, because they forced a chump block, and send 2 creatures at Davriel in case they have like a fatal push or something. Keep 1 creature back on defense, because we have Hive of the Eye Tyrant on the other side after all. Okay, so that works out.
I have some fine print to obfuscate.
So I'm really wanting to like activate the Celestus to try and gain some life, but that wouldn't let us play Metalwork Colossus. So I ultimately decided, all right, just get the second creature in play. But we're in big trouble. Like any cheap removal spell plus Hive means we're donezo. So opponent's thinking they Thoughtseize us, and yeah, they're basically just conceding, because even though there's no hope, they fire Hive the Eye Tyrant, and we just snap off a double block, and that's it. So already in game 1, we summon Vecna and get the win. Okay, so full disclosure, I wanted to show you things were not always so rosy. These are all the subsequent games where I tried to chase that feeling of summoning Vecna and riding it to victory, only to just to get destroyed over and over. Now this one's going to haunt me for a while. There's a new card called Rally the Ancestors that's just got introduced to the format. So they have a recursion deck. I go ahead and Karn out Weathered Runestone, put it on the stack, and while it's on the stack, the opponent fires off Rally, and I see a bunch of triggers go on. I see Judith, I see Mayhem Devil, and I snap off the concede, even though that would not have killed me. So that one hurts. Here's another loss. So just wanted to give you no illusions of grandeur. This one also stung because they were like Turbo Greasefang, had milled like 40 cards, and right before we were going to kill them, found a Greasefang. So we had gotten so lucky to dodge it until right at the very end. And we also lost to Grixis Control. And this one also stung a lot. Lost on a turn 1 decision to not Thoughtseize Ugin. And also got ran over by aggro. Alright, well, after an amazing start, game 1 win, thanks to Vecna, it went downhill from there. Our opponents are definitely running up that hill. Let's just say that. Had a massive string of losses. A couple of those games were on me. They were winnable, and I made pretty bad mistakes. There's some issues with this. Not only is this hard to assemble, like you go to all that work to create Vecna, but it's just really vulnerable to a lot of what's going on in the format. Skyclave Apparition takes care of it. March of Otherworldly Light takes care of it. Infinite chump blockers take care of it. And a bounce spell. So there's so many ways for people to get around this. It's not even funny. So that makes it tricky. I was going to try and include some spells to help defend Vecna, but as you see, we're already stuffed to the gills just trying to even make it happen in the first place. Not only that, but our wish board for Karn is just so tight. There were many games where I was wishing I had a treasure vault, and I think one that basically should be in there is Shadow Spear, because we tend to lose a lot of life in this deck. We're Thoughtseizing, we're trying to lose life, we are losing life off Eye of Vecna, trying to lose life to make zombies, but we don't have a lot of ways to recoup that life. And Shadow Spear would do 2 things. It would help us gain life, and it would help Vecna actually get through, because it doesn't have any evasion. And so the trample and lifelink, I think that should be in there. Maybe Golos isn't quite the right plan. Maybe that can be ditched. And that's the whole question: is do you go all in on the combo element? Like, do you put Whir of Invention there to try and turbo out the pieces? or do you try and play like a control game and assemble the pieces over time? So there are really some options there, but it definitely was fun. I summoned Vecna a number of times. It's just that the repeated life loss was a little tricky. So I would definitely put Shadow Spear and the Wishboard to help make up for that. So, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Have you been able to summon Vecna in Magic the Gathering before? Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.